All right. All right. Good morning, everyone. This is the Old Ladies Lift Chat with one of your hosts. I am Laarni Mulvey, the Power Lady. I've already taken that name from somebody else, so I'm just bringing it onto this talk now. So I'm just going to keep going. So welcome to the talk today, and I have my other host here on this side of my camera. Go ahead, Chandler.
Yes. Hi, I'm Chandler Mars, founder of Old Ladies Lift. I think the premier website, Facebook group, YouTube channel for older women who lift freaking heavy. So we're here today with Linda Rousseau, one of our members of Old Ladies Lift and an awesome lifter, to chat about all things lifting while older and female. Welcome.
Welcome, Linda. I'm so glad that you're here. I know we were already chatting right before I hit the record button. So I hope you remember what you just said, because everything you said was pretty cool and pretty awesome. So Linda, introduce yourself and tell us a little about who you are.
Okay, my name's Linda Rousseau. I belong to the OPA, Ontario Powerlifting Association, the Canadian Powerlifting Union, and the IPF. And I understand that I'm one of the few, and I have participated in 6 world competitions, which for an older person is quite a few. And
Bravo.
I am just always so grateful that Chandler made this site available for women. And I feel it's a safe space for people to really connect with other lifters and to uplift people. And you know, I remember when I thought the bar was heavy. So, you know, you never forget your roots, and to cheer other people on and be supportive and realize that many women have gone through a lot more than just getting old. And I think that's what makes Old Ladies Lift a particularly inviting group, because so many women have faced a lot of obstacles with diseases, mental health issues, addictions, loss of children. I know, because I try to chat with everybody when I'm at these events, and just hearing their stories, and it is amazing. So I support every single person, whether you're the first time behind the bar or doing world competitions. I support you.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So you were talking about, before we hit record on this, how there's, like I told you, I was like, you're the only really IPF person that I've known in this federation. So like, what is it about all these different federations that you know, like, is there a way to build a community together with all
I would love to see a together community, because I feel that at this point we're a bit disjointed and maybe not as strong as we could be as a group of lifters. One of the examples of that I like to point out, and this has always been one of my moments, is that unfortunately, a lot of times at world venues, they always do the opening ceremonies after the master lifters have lifted. And this was, in fact, another case in Sweden, which is going on right now. And I just double checked, because I thought, okay, maybe things are changing. But no, the master lifters lift, and then they do the opening ceremonies, which I find disrespectful and not congruent with the whole powerlifting thing of inclusivity and being neutral. So they did not do that. I just competed at the NAPF in Orlando, Florida. And I must say they did do the opening ceremonies prior to the lifters, which was great.
So do you think that there is a change, there's a shift? Do you think that there's coming around eventually that, you know, that they're going to include us, you know, include us within everybody
in the main event?
Yes. Yeah.
I think it's going to take a voice for inclusion, because I think in the past that everybody has sat back and it's like, well, I am old and I do lift, but maybe I'm not that good. And that's not true. I mean, like I say, I have so much respect for older lifters, you know, older than myself. And certainly, you know, there are many great people, and they've spent a lot of time and effort in the powerlifting business and been supportive of the community via becoming national referees, international referees, really putting their heart and soul into it, and maybe not getting as much recognition as others are. And I think the other thing that I would really like to see is I would like to see more people involved in the upper echelons of powerlifting. And one of the things that the IPF, I'm not sure if you're aware, but the IPF had been in discussion about possibly making it an joining with the IOC, making an Olympic sport, which would be absolutely amazing.
I would so be into that.
But one of the issues is there aren't really a lot of women in the upper echelons of the federation. And so, you know, I think with getting a more cohesive group of people, that it could help us to gain that knowledge and to gain the recognition that we definitely deserve.
Oh, I love that. I think that's so remarkable to have, because, you know, honestly, you guys, if they were like starting an Olympic team for us in our age group, I would be on it. I never got to compete when I was younger, so now that I'm older, I'm just like, I'm taking this every opportunity to like compete and like push my body, because I know I didn't get to when I was younger. So I'm just like, yes, this is so cool. This is so cool.
I think that's the cool thing about lifting. The presumption was that as we get older, that our ability to lift weights decline and our strength sports decline. But what we see from our group in particular, the Old Ladies Lift group, is that a lot of these women are starting for the first time in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and even 70s, and they progress. It's not a declining proposition. A lot of the strength, and we were talking a week or two ago about the 60-year-old who pulled 500 pounds, and 60 years old pulling 500 pounds is just absolutely amazing, and that compares with any young lifter. I mean, 500 pounds is 500 pounds, a female at a lower weight too. She was teeny. It's just amazing. And I think that the group in particular, we see that a lot of the myths around older women are just that. They're myths, and we pull very heavy and we continue to progress. It's not just a sport of youngsters. I think we can compete with a lot of youngsters, frankly. And that's quite cool.
Yeah. So Linda, tell us a little bit of your backstory. Like, what started you lifting?
Well, the backstory is exactly that. It's the back. I hurt my back and was off work for 2 years. And during that time, there was rehabilitation, and started doing those cheesy little weights and thinking, I don't know what this is doing. But then I started to realize that everything is connected to everything in your body. And then one day I was at the gym doing my rehab stuff, and I watched this woman, and she put on the big plates. And I thought, what is she doing? She can't do that. But she did. She did. And it's like, oh my God. So I had no idea what powerlifting was. I ran up to her. I said, what is that you're doing? And her name was Krista Schaus. And she said, oh, I'm a power lifter. I had no idea what that even was or what it meant or anything, but I just thought, I want to do that. That looks cool. So I got a coach and started lifting, and 6 months later I competed. And then after that, I lost my son, my only son, had a lot of depression, and the lifting really helped me find myself back. And you know, it really is lifting yourself back up after you go down. And there are so many people in that position. Joy Brown, I think she's one of your members.
Yeah.
She definitely has the same, you know, there are many stories, different versions of being really pushed down and getting back up. So I feel that powerlifting is a great analogy for life, and it really does make you realize how strong and resilient we all are. And once you start doing that, I think it's imperative to share your story with other people, because other people mostly don't know what powerlifting is. Even in today's world, there are a lot that confuse bodybuilding or Olympic lifting with powerlifting. So until you start talking to other people about it, they're not really sure what the heck you do, other than it's something with barbells. So it's important to kind of spread the word and to make it more normalized. I think, you know, initially some of my older friends, it's like, oh, well, you're just going to hurt yourself. You know, this isn't a good sport for you. And a lot of negative comments, and in particular my husband took a lot of flack by him, you know, well, aren't you scared she's gonna beat you up, you know? And it's like, he's not an abusive person, he's my number one fan, so of course he never had to worry about me beating him up. But a lot of very strange comments in regard to that, and I think a lot of that is just uncertainty as to what to say to someone that does power lift. And I think there are so many women that powerlifting would be fantastic for. And the thing that I am so passionate about powerlifting, it is a life sport. It's not like, look at me, I can lift this, even though that is super cool and I love it. But when you go to Costco and you've got those gigantic bottles of water and everything else, guess what? You can pick those guys up without saying, oh, could you help me with that, please? Because you can do it yourself. And, you know, you're always going to be going upstairs. You're always going to be sitting on the toilet, as far as I know. So you might as well be good at it.
Be able to get on and off of it without falling and breaking a hip. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then within a year, I did my first world competition in Orlando. And for sure, that was the most emotional for me, being part of Team Canada and having the national anthem sung for you was a very emotional moment. Competing in the worlds, I've done equip lifting and raw, and definitely the raw, I learned about different tech things that happen. I went to Colorado and my body basically blew up like a balloon because of the height. And I actually had someone shake me into my suit because I couldn't get it on anymore. It's like, oh my God. And then just realizing, being a lot more empathetic to other lifters who have traveled all over the world. I did the Commonwealth in 2019, and there was a lady from India that was 86 years old. And I just thought, wow, she not only is competing, but she's done that killer travel on a plane.
Exactly.
Experience time change and everything else. And as we know, one of the things about being older is maybe we do need a little bit more time. We need a little bit more time recovery, even though our mind says, yeah. Sometimes our body is screw you. We're not doing
exactly.
So she, you know, and definitely she's one of my role models. Like I was just impressed with her, and so many people that I've been impressed with. And definitely my role models are from all different ages, but particularly older lifters, because they've been there, they've done that, they've seen it. And Janet Warren is a Canadian lifter, and she started lifting, I guess, in the early 70s. And she was basically told she had no right being there, because even when I started, there were not as many females in the larger competitions. And it was only, the last 5 or 6 years that really, I think we're almost half and half, right? Like there's a lot of female lifters, whether they're sub juniors, juniors, or whatever. A lot more females in the sport, which is fantastic.
I love that.
Agree.
Yeah, same. I love that because I've been on podcasts where they ask me like, oh, how long do you think you're going to do this? And I'm like, I never really put a limit on it. It's like, I'm going to do it until I do.
My goal is at least 75, and then we'll look at it at 75. But I mean, now you're seeing a lot more M4 lifters, and they're doing very well. And there's some exceptional women from Florida and other places, and I've just watched them. It's like, oh my God. And it's like, you give me such hope. So
exactly.
Yes.
And I think you can continue to lift. And I think that's what's cool about what we're doing and getting all these women together is we're breaking those barriers and we're seeing, and I now have role models, because again, when I was lifting in my meets, and I've only been doing this for 5 or 6 years, I was typically the oldest at 40, 50, whatever. And every now and again, there would be a few older women, but I was always the only one in my age weight division. And one of the reasons I started OLL was because I kept thinking there had to be more women. There had to be more of us. And I thought really maybe we'd get 500, 1,000 if we were lucky. And now we have, 11,500 women. But part of the cool thing is seeing the different age groups and seeing, all of these women at different life stages that are just doing really impressive things. And it gives me, as someone in her 50s, hope that I can still do this in my 60s and 70s. And I think that's important. I wouldn't have had that hope had I not founded the group and found how many more women there were doing it than just in my little local meets, because that was a very narrow perspective. And I think that's cool that now we're seeing all of these women in different age groups who continue to do impressive things.
Yeah.
I think it would be really amazing if somehow we could come up with a United Masters or something that kind of includes everyone. And more importantly is the time you get to spend with people and talk to them and hear their issues, concerns, what they've dealt with to help your body and things like that. And, maybe not feeling guilty about having a rest day, because I mean, sometimes we get caught up in, okay, I must do this. I got to get it done. I want to be my best. And sometimes maybe the rest day is the best day for you, but
I think that's the hardest lesson, frankly, that we're not 20 anymore.
It's good to hear that people do take a bit of time or whatever, or at least find a way around it. Like, oh, I don't do that, but this is what I do instead. Okay. Yeah. So
Linda, maybe I'll talk Chandler into doing a old ladies lift meet, a small local meet.
We tried to do, we were starting to come up with something like that, that was technically going to happen in May of the pandemic in Florida. So it didn't quite work out. But we had gotten a group of the women together, and we were thinking of we were talking about hosting it on the Keys, because I've always wanted to go to the Florida Keys, and you got to have a little vacation in there while you're doing it. We had gotten the gym lined up, and we had talked about doing not only powerlifting but a few strong man, because all of us want to pull cars and do the fun stuff, and then lay on the beach and do whatever, and
then rest.
In between,
and have good food.
And have good food. That was very important. And we had different committees going, and then the world shut down. It was like, okay, it's a good thing we didn't put any deposits on it. Would very much like to at some point, and maybe we do an online meet, to put together which are difficult to run. And everybody says, no, you shouldn't do online meets. But I figure, what the heck? You know, maybe we do something like that at some point. And then when the world opens
Let
up.
me make a note, Chandler.
So, yeah, I would love to put something, but more importantly, I'd love to have a way for all of us to get together in person and just chat, you know, eat and chat.
Like a symposium, and maybe have some
Exactly.
topics of conversation that are pertinent to particularly older lifters.
Exactly. I'd love to do that. You know, and maybe at one point we can. We certainly have enough members now. But
and you have me to like make sure.
And
like,
we have Laarni, and Laarni is just a bundle of energy, and we'll take
Chandler,
care of all of
it. Let's do this.
I think for sure one of the topics would be the mindset, and all of that would be super important, I feel, for us that are older, because I think sometimes you kind of face the demons of, well, how long am I going to be able to do this? When is my strength going to crap out? What is going to happen with me? Because I've been in a very fortunate position, and I have a coach, Frances, which you know who Frances is, and she is an amazing lady that really empowers women, and she is pro Iron Sisters. Like, she runs Iron Sisters. And
that's who you're speaking of. Okay.
Yes.
Well, you guys, there's a little inside joke here, and I'm out of the loop.
Yes. And you know, she's got me lifting more and being stronger. And you know, I was not fully confident that I would be capable of doing it, but she's a taskmaster, but she has a good way of doing it, and safely, and definitely gaining lots of strength. And she has, you know, the best mental attitude for it too. Yeah. So definitely the mindset, the strength-based mindset is so important in our sport. I think it's easy to think, oh, I missed that lift. Why didn't I get it? You know, I'm having a crappy day. You know, my joints are bothering me, whatever. But as having had some issues happen, the very first issue that ever happened with me was at my first Worlds. And I was so excited because it was my first Worlds. I didn't sleep at night, which is, I think, kind of for the course. You were excited about doing something. And then by the time it came to my deadlifts, I was exhausted. And I wasn't even thinking of technique. Technique went out the window, and I deadlifted it about 6 inches away from my body. And
oh gosh. Ow.
And then all of a sudden it was like, oh my God, this was not good. And I benched for the next 3 months because I killed my L4 and L5. But having done that, I know that even with injuries, you are going to get better. You have to be patient. And I think with myself, I'm not a very patient person. I want it yesterday. So it's difficult, but you do need to, you know, spend the time on rehab, and, you know, having a good physiotherapist or chiropractor or RMT to assist you with ensuring that you do get better, right? So, I mean, and people will be like, see, I told you powerlifting's dangerous. But, you know, crossing the street or vacuuming, the times
that I walk off of a step and twist my ankle. I mean,
the time that I've
capable of injuring myself in any domain.
Yes, the time I've hurt myself worse has been from vacuuming. So I try to avoid that at all costs.
Exactly. I'd rather go avoid vacuuming.
I'm going to tell my husband that. I'm like, I can't vacuum.
I might hurt myself. I got that excuse not to hurt myself, when I was pregnant with my babies. I had twins. Dishwater set me off in terms of vomiting and nausea. So it's like, I can't do dishes. Every single time I would get sick. And so he got paper plates, but Yeah, that was the excuse. But yeah, you could, to your point, you can hurt yourself doing anything. And typically, from my perspective, I tend to hurt myself doing stupid things, every day, stupid, just like a second and something goes wrong and you've thrown your back out or something dumb. I've twisted my ankle more times than I've can count. So with regard to the powerlifting, I think that it's a lot safer, unless you do stupid things there too and lift way more than you should. But if you're training consistently and appropriately, I think you have a good chance of being relatively injury free. Things happen, certainly. I mean, I've thrown my back out on warm-up squats. Yeah, so the last time I threw my back out was on 95-pound warm-up squats, and it just cinched up like crazy. And I was out for a couple of weeks until we could undo the mess. But I wasn't doing anything heavy. It was just, I was warming up, and then my back said, nope, you're done. And so, yeah, so you move on.
You move on.
And I think that's where having a coach is a really good idea, because for me, I'm kind of like, okay, I could do that. Let's try that. Let's go here. Let's go there.
Yes.
And in reality, she kind of reins me in. It's like, okay, but you need to work on this first. It's
Exactly.
like, okay, fine. Because I know she's right. I know she's right. So.
Well, and I think it's important to have a coach who has worked with older lifters too, because I see some older women who start with younger coaches who don't have any experience with older lifters, and it's kind of a recipe for disaster. I mean, there are some youngsters that are great and have built programs for older women, but there are some that just haven't quite figured it out. And so I think if you're looking for a coach, you do need to look for someone who has some experience, or at least some understanding of what it is to be older and female. And it's different than being older and male, because many of us have had children, many of us have had hysterectomies, many of us have had other surgeries, and as you mentioned earlier, all of us have had some sort of stress or loss in our life. But those injuries or stressors to the core make how you lift and how you approach lifts different than most men. And so I think that is critical. And I know I have all sorts of crookedness and lopsidedness because of all the abdominal surgeries that I've had, and having twins and everything. And you think, well, certainly that was, almost 30 years ago. But none of those things were ever corrected when you had them. I mean, because you have a baby and you're never gives you any physiotherapy. If you have an abdominal surgery and you're a man, you're in the hospital for however long time, and you get cared for by your partner for a period of time, and you gradually get physio. If you have abdominal surgery and you're a woman, particularly if a child comes out of it, you're up the next day, and you're on. And so I think those things need to be taken into consideration.
So as we wrap up our Old Ladies Lift Chat today, Linda, do you have any words of advice or an encouraging word for people who are going to be watching your episode?
Definitely keep at it. Determination pays off. Perseverance pays off, and you will get there. Patience is your friend, even though sometimes it's a hard friend to be, but patience is your friend. And, I used to kind of hate the term trust the process, but in reality, it kind of is. If you don't do your background work, you're not going to be as successful as, just doing a few token lifts here and there. It takes the dedication and the time and the effort. And eventually it becomes the fun activity. So it is a fun activity to occupy your time, and it's worthwhile, and you can impress other people, hopefully, and also more importantly, get other people involved in lifting as well, because it's a great sport. It keeps you young. It's something different. As soon as you say powerlifting, people look at you like, because they don't think that you are a power lifter, right? And so it's a great surprise for people. oh, you can lift blah, blah, blah. It's like, yes, I can. And it's fun.
Check your assumptions, right, Chandler?
The t-shirt we have, which I was going to wear today, and I was just not quite together enough this morning to figure that out. But yes, I think they do need to check their assumptions. And frankly, every time back to the t-shirt, people come up to me and say, what exactly does that mean? And it's like, well, let me tell you.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
And I would like to see some, a little bit better style in the singlets and all that stuff.
Oh,
They
talking
still
about
make
that,
that's
them.
my thing. Absolutely. And I agree entirely. I think they ought to be two-piece. And because I don't know about you, but every time I have a competition, I am in the restroom between every lift, and getting in and out of that thing in between lifts in a quick is just impossible. And I suspect I'm not the only one, particularly older females, but females in general, who are bathroom prone during these meets. And that singlet is just absolutely not only horrid to look at, it's horrible to get on and off quickly.
I totally support you in that. And but it would be nice just to have a little bit of more woman focused gear.
Oh, absolutely.
Clothing. Yes. And
Certainly
I'm not talking about color. I'm talking about function, like you mentioned,
Yeah.
and just maybe fitting without a crotch, like without the man space.
Yeah.
I would like to see some that fit women.
Yes, and different shapes and sizes of women. I find as a tall woman that a lot of them are too short.
As a short, stocky woman, I have to go a XXX sometimes because, my thighs are like this, and then the singlets are like this.
Yeah.
So I get like that weird sausagey.
That's why it has to be a two-piece. It has to be a two-piece.
I never thought about that, but that's a great idea because I think that was one of the, when I first powerlifted, and it was the equipped powerlifting, that was absolutely the worst because
I can't imagine.
Not just putting it off and on, but the struggle is real, and it's like, oh my God. So that's good. And I would inevitably, it's like, do I have time to go to the bathroom? Do I have time to go to the bathroom? It's like, oh, I don't know.
Nope, you don't. And I
guess so.
Yeah, I with the equipped, I never thought of that. You cannot take a bathroom break in the equipped.
Not really. It's
another reason I could never do equipped. Because one, I don't think I could squish my rather large body into it, and then two, there's no way I could make it through an entire flight.
Yeah, it was tricky. I do prefer the raw just because of the fact that once you have things on, that's it. There's no more, it's like you're done. And you can feel the weight more easily. You can feel your depth a lot easier than in equipped. It's very difficult to tell if you've got depth with the squat suit on because it gives you so much support that it's hard to tell if you've really made depth or not. But I do
never make depth.
I do enjoy the equipped bench. It's a very technical thing. And I think I like it just because you're going to add a bunch of weight on, I could do like 90 kilos in equipped bench, and certainly not that in regular.
And raw.
But,
and you only have to put the top half on in an equipped bench.
Yeah, not quite as bad. But
well, Linda,
it's all fun.
Well, Linda, thank you so much for hopping on with us today. This was a great conversation. I know we have like so much more we could totally like talk and stuff, but you've given me lots of ideas to run back to Chandler and be like, hey, let's do all this stuff, so you never know what's going to happen in the Old Ladies Lift chat.
All right.
Old Ladies Lift Facebook group. We're here to support each other and let everyone know that we're here and we're here to stay. So
I love that. And I love that people are posting any amount of lift and I didn't put this on my Facebook, but I put it on your site because people will understand. And that's totally true. People
Exactly.
will understand and they will be happy for you and they will be proud of you. And, you know, that's what it's all about.
Well, I think that the cool thing is too, body, I know we're supposed to finish, but all of us have difficulties with body image, particularly as we get older. And that's one of the things that I wanted to get around in the private group. I wanted women to feel comfortable to post their videos and their photos of them doing these cool things without regard to how they looked. I wanted them to be able to come up and say, look at what I lifted today, you know, look at this lift. And I think it's cool to see the trajectory of it, because some of them will kind of hang in the background for a while. They'll only post text. And then all of a sudden they start, then a little photo, and then a little more, and then we get a video, you know, and they're like, yeah, I'm so glad I posted the video. I did not realize how quickly that moved, because they didn't want to videotape themselves because they didn't want to see themselves. But once you start watching your own videos and you have other people commenting about how incredibly strong you are, you start to forget about what you look like, per se. And I saw that.
You look strong.
You look
That's
strong.
what you look.
Yeah, that's the dominant thing. It's not, you know, you got a curve here, a curve there. It's strong, and they can appreciate the strength. And that's why we made it a private group on Facebook, so that we don't let men in the group. We don't let women who are younger than 40, although we get a lot of women who want to join that are like in their late 30s, and a lot of men
so
that
close.
want to join.
You're so close.
Something to look forward to, getting old.
You're not quite, yeah. And we monitor it for trolls. I mean, every now and again, people get cranky, understandably. It's been a difficult couple of years. But we don't tolerate unsolicited form critiques or body physique critiques or anything like that. And so it is a safe space to the extent that we can make it a safe space where you can, you know, learn to appreciate the strength that you have.
Yep.
So
yeah. So
well,
go ahead.
I certainly will. Sorry, I certainly will be continuing to follow you and looking forward to what the future brings for us.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much for being with us today, Linda. It was awesome. I love your hair. I have to put that on record on this video that I love your hair. I love it.
Ditto.
Thank you. Thank you.
So you guys, this is our episode of Old Ladies Lift Chat. We have the Chandler on this side. Go ahead and roll us out, Chandler, and then I'll do the whole.
Well, the whole subscribe. Okay.
Yeah.
Old Ladies Lift, where age is inevitable, but weakness is not. And that is our slogan, and we take that to heart. So join our Facebook. Now it's your turn. Join your Facebook group. Follow YouTube. Go to the website for merch. And what else?
See, Linda, we're gonna get the end here. You know, this is
at
our
some
first,
point. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. But you guys, make sure you like and subscribe to the Old Ladies Lift YouTube channel. We love seeing the support that we are getting from everyone outside of the group, but also we are putting these videos out there to inspire, encourage, and make sure that we are represented out there. We are a group of women, you know, you look strong. You look strong, and we are strong. So, you know, make sure you guys check that out. Go to oldladieslift.com, check out the shop, check out the merch, check out all the cool bios that we have on there of the members in the Old Ladies Lift Facebook group. So I hope you guys are all having a wonderful day today, and you guys look strong, be strong. And remember, age is inevitable,
but weakness
is not.
Yes, we should do that in sync.
All right. This is our episode. Have a great day. Talk to you all soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.